People living along parts of Florida's east coast are now under a tropical storm watch as they prepare for the threats of high winds and storm surge from an intensifying tropical depression closing in on the southeast. CNN meteorologist Chris Warren joins me now. Chris, okay, the National Hurricane Center just issued a new advisory. Tell us, what does it say?
It's the intermediate advisory. We're not seeing any major changes right now. Still on track with this right here, Tropical Depression 9. When it does get a name, Imelda is the next name here. It is an ice storm, will be an ice storm. 35-mile-per-hour winds associated with this. It's getting better organized. We've seen throughout the day, today, this morning, and now getting into the afternoon hours. And eventually it will strengthen and expected with just a few more miles per hour to become either late tonight or by tomorrow a tropical storm. Again, it'll be Imelda. And then by the time it gets closer to Florida, if it goes on this track right here, there could be tropical storm conditions. There's a tropical storm watch posted there for the central portion of Florida. Tropical storm warning, meaning tropical storm conditions are expected for a lot of the Bahamas here, but closer here. And what was new this morning with the big update at 11 was the turn here in the forecast cone. So the official forecast at this point, and this is subject to change because you look here, and it is expected to be a Category 1 hurricane by Tuesday morning. So some point Monday into Tuesday. So we're looking at a few days still, and it's going to take a while to get here. So the track is very important. And now it's just as possible that the center could be right here. And that would be bad news in terms of rain, wind, coastal effects. And then still the thinking is it's going to move off in this direction. Now, some of the forecast models have been showing that turn. Not all of them, and not consistently enough. So we'll have several more forecast runs over the next few days. And if this trend continues, that'll be good news. If it doesn't, if it starts to go back, that could be a bigger issue here for parts of the Carolinas. This is what we're looking at with the possibilities here. Now, Humberto, that does play a role, can help kind of tug what is now a tropical depression, expected to be a tropical storm and a hurricane, could help bring it away from land. And time will tell with the multiple possibilities that we are going to be tracking. Here's one scenario, and that would be a big rainmaker with the heaviest of rain staying offshore. And that's what we're looking at right now with that major hurricane just off to the east and then helping to kind of draw it in that direction, drawing it away from land. And if that pans out, flash flooding certainly a concern, some surge a concern at the coast. But when you look really closely in here offshore, these are rainfall totals expected 10 to 20 inches. Again, if this plays out, this is going through much of next week. If this shift were to go over here, that would end up being really bad news. Let's remember here in the tropics, you're getting this transport of all of that moisture. This is that tropical moisture heading off. If it stays offshore, that will be helpful. If it comes onshore, could end up being a really big deal in terms of flooding. In the near term here, Danny, we're looking at the potential for some rip currents, have a big hurricane offshore, and in between that and shore is that tropical depression. So it's a messy ocean, which means rough surf at the beaches, and just definitely be careful in the coming days.
Yeah, certainly be careful in the coming days. And I just keep seeing Charleston like right there, hoping it keeps east in the ocean.
And the main thing, Danny, is everybody needs to monitor because this is an evolving forecast.
Right. No, very well said. Chris Warren, thanks so much for that report. All right, joining me now is Michael Brennan, the director of NOAA's National Hurricane Center. Michael, good to see you. Can you first give us a sense of the development of this tropical depression here that will eventually be called Imelda, and I guess how Humberto could impact it as well?
Yeah, as you were just talking about, we have seen Tropical Depression 9 form here just north of the northern coast of Cuba, currently a little over 100 miles to the south-southwest of the central Bahamas. You can see it becoming better organized in satellite imagery and the data we're getting from the Hurricane Hunter aircraft. And you also do see Humberto, a powerful Category 4 hurricane, several hundred miles to the east of our depression. The forecast does take the depression strengthening to a tropical storm, moving generally northward through the central and northwestern Bahamas, coming potentially close enough to the east coast of Florida. We could see tropical storm conditions there where we now have a watch. And then as we get into the early to middle portions of next week, we could see some interaction between this system and Humberto, which you see the forecast for here, passing to the east. And, there's a lot of uncertainty here in the exact track of the center of the depression, which is forecast to be a hurricane by the time it gets up here off the southeast U.S. coast. But it's important to emphasize it doesn't take a hurricane making landfall in this area to produce dangerous impacts, storm surge, wind, heavy rainfall. If it gets close enough to the coast and sits there for a couple of days, we could see some significant impacts beginning as soon as Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe.
Well, can you speak a little more about that, Michael? Because what is the actual risk then? Because that's the thing that matters most to us, right? What is the actual risk then to some of those people who may be living on that southern East Coast over the next, let's say, 72 hours? How intense could it be?
Well, we're forecasting a strong tropical storm, Category 1 hurricane in this area. Obviously, those hurricane force winds are going to be close to the center. So if you have there's still scenarios where we could see the center of the storm actually move inland and make landfall, some say along the South Carolina coast or southern North Carolina. That would sort of be the worst case scenario in terms of coastal impacts, because you get those hurricane force winds. You get a significant storm surge near where the center could make landfall that could result in dangerous inundation. And sort of the worst case scenario would be the center moving inland and stalling out and meandering here over portions of South and North Carolina from a rainfall perspective. And those are the scenarios where you could get double-digit rainfall totals. But even a scenario where the system stalls out and meanders here along the coast, even if it doesn't make landfall, you could have elevated water levels along the coast and storm surge over multiple high tide cycles, long duration of at least tropical storm conditions, and heavy rainfall, probably more isolated to the immediate coastline, say eastern South Carolina, southeastern North Carolina. So that can still be very impactful as well.
Okay, so again, we're still hoping that it goes east and keeps heading off into the ocean.
Yeah.
I'm curious, though, Michael, just taking a little bit bigger of a picture and perspective here, what are you forecasting in the coming weeks in terms of more potential major storms? Because, frankly, up until now, it seems like hurricane season has started perhaps a little bit quieter.
Yeah, well, Humberto is the third major hurricane we've had this year, so we haven't had a lot of hurricanes, but all three of them that have formed so far have gone on to become either Category 4, Category 5 hurricanes, so they're very powerful storms. It's important for everybody to know that late in the hurricane season, the development, as we're seeing right now, tends to shift back toward the western part of the basin near the Gulf, Caribbean, Florida, and those systems that form late in the season, because of where they're starting out, have a much higher chance of affecting the United States, the Caribbean, and the islands. So that can continue all the way in through October, and we've even had hurricane landfalls into November. So the back end of hurricane season can still be pretty busy.
All right, so far from out of the woods, but at least hopefully, again, fingers crossed that this particular depression keeps heading into the ocean. Michael Brennan, thank you so much for your time as always. Appreciate you.